What I really like about a George Miller sequel is that he never makes the same film twice. So when he kind of pitched this to you, and it's much less focused on Mumbles and more about the whole ecosystem and how it all interplays.
Yep.
What was your first thought or reaction?
He actually called me before I got the screenplay, I believe. I hadn't had a chance to read it. And he called me specifically to talk about the idea of doing a sequel. And I think he wanted to have the conversation to sort of allay any fears. I didn't have any fears because I knew that George wouldn't be doing it if it wasn't something that had its own integrity. But he wanted to talk about this idea and tell me that he thought he had an idea that merited a second film. And that, you know, he'd thought long and hard about it, and they'd come up with this concept that felt a natural progression, but also managed to blend in new characters and tell an even broader story. I think my two favorite characters in the film are Bill and Will.
Well,
They're almost
really
doing this running commentary of a much larger concept throughout.
And it's a big idea for kids to deal with anyway. This existential crisis of your place in the food chain is not what you want it to be.
Massive.
How is this process? Because it's not performance based at all, right? It's not. They're not capturing you guys.
We're being filmed as an artistic reference,
Right.
but no, it's not performance capture.
So is it the traditional animation sense where you're by yourself and you each have your own recording sessions, or is there interaction at times?
That's normally how it's done. On the first one, we recorded a lot of it together, and on this, we actually recorded the entire thing as a cast in Australia for a month, which was extraordinary. I mean, if you have the opportunity to work with the other cast members on any scene, it just elevates the piece.
And this movie's so much about relationships and how people interact that I would hope there would be some interplay.
Yeah, it kind of demands it. And so many of the scenes, I mean, there's obviously these sort of intimate moments between father and son and a few scenes that have just a few characters. But a lot of it is, they're major set pieces with a lot of people interacting and getting their voices heard and different ideas being thrown out. And you kind of do need a big group of people doing that in a round.
Was it, for you personally and emotionally, and you guys as a crew, to have somebody new stepping into the role of Gloria? Because she's very good and she's great in the musical numbers, and her
really
big one
is
amazing.
Yeah.
But it's a different dynamic now that you're playing.
It is. Obviously, we were all very sad to hear about Brittany. It was tragic. But on a technical level, so much was established between those characters in the first film that relationship, we didn't have a lot of that work to do in this.
Right.
But the relationship was established, and it was sort of more of the fun of being
parents
parents and in a relationship. And Pink was fantastic, and she fit into it so well. And I think she was excited to play the role. She was fantastic in the performance and in the acting, and her voice is great. And it has a very similar tone. Interestingly enough, hearing it play out, I was sort of fascinated by how much it sounded like Brittany.